You guys, welcome back to the God's Economy podcast, where we talk about God's currency in our life and discuss it. I'm your host, Rick Niemi. Today, we're going to get into vision versus reality. I'm going to be talking about entrepreneurial and business aspects and different things in business over the next series. But what I want to talk about is when dreams cost more than we expect, no one tells us that obedience to God's plan or the vision that He puts in our life can be expensive before it becomes fruitful. And the statement that I want to open up with is this. Every entrepreneur starts with a vision, right? But somewhere between our calling, what we think we're supposed to do, executing what we're trying to do, the reality really hits how difficult it can be. Cash, right, might be running thin. Our energy is not where it needs to be. We're having to deal with a lot of things that we haven't dealt with before, and some doubt creeps in. And I want to speak to the time where I was 24 years old and I bought my first company. So I'm selling advertising, and I'm in a business broker's office in Walnut Creek, and he didn't buy my advertisement. And at that point, I had started my own company. So I started my first company when I think I was 22, where I was starting a direct business to business lead generation publication for small businesses in the San Ramon, Pleasanton, Livermore Valley, Dublin area, in the East Bay area in San Francisco. And so, seeing this business broker, and he didn't buy my ad. I said, "Hey, well, if you ever have a pharmacy for sale, let me know. My wife doesn't want to work for Walgreens anymore." And I left his office. It was no big deal, but he called me 2 months later, says, "Hey, I have a pharmacy for sale in Sacramento. You want to buy it?" I'm like, "I don't know how to buy a pharmacy. How do you do that?" And I just had a quick conversation with him about, potentially getting an SBA loan, what it would take. And had another person helping me. He was 34 years old. I was 24 years old. And Hilda and I got married in June in 1995. And in September, we closed escrow on a pharmacy in Sacramento. And walk in, and the owner who sold the business introduces me like, "Here's your new owner." It was a horrible introduction. I'm walking in there. I'm 24 years old. I had a lot of courage. So this is one thing I want to talk to you about. And I even did a post this morning, courage to actually work on things ahead of when you think you have it all figured out. People that overthink. So part of business, I'm going to talk about business and entrepreneurship. Part of success is not planning to death, overthinking it, letting time pass between the work that you're going to do. And I would equate this to, if you're going to learn how to ski and you're on the mountain, how do you actually learn how to ski if you don't put on the skis and then actually go up the mountain and then actually get your feet on the snow, and you're still not skiing? You've done all that preparation. You got your gear on, you got your skis on, you had the courage to get on the lift, you're up at the mountain. You actually have to go down the hill with enough speed to be able to turn left and right. And in this way, when I got into this business, I immediately thought, oh, it's $100,000 a month. And that was a lot of money for me at the time. Like, we're rich, we got $100,000. I didn't realize that I had more than $100,000 in expenses right when I took over the business. I didn't realize that the seller who sold me the business cheated me and sold part of his retail prescriptions to Kmart across the street. So I didn't even have the retail part of the business I thought I was buying. It was all nursing homes and convalescent homes and retirement homes. And then I realized after I bought the business that three of the largest accounts that we had were already looking to fire us. So I had just bought this business. I'm underwater from day one. I got duped by a pretty savvy older guy, and I made a mistake in that process. And I'm already in the shit. I mean, I'm behind the eight ball. And so this kind of thing happens. And I look back and say, okay, how did I respond to that? And it definitely wasn't how I would respond now. But, um, you know, I want to get to, and I did not have God's economy in my life at this moment when I was thinking about how I was believing in God, but I definitely wasn't following yet. What the world tells us is that, you know, a quick fix, protect yourself. I was not getting what I needed to actually get through the situation. Looking back on it, God wasn't going to fund my comfort. He was actually going to fund my progress. He was going to fund my capabilities. He was going to strengthen me through this hardship that I was having, where I immediately bought the business and I was behind in revenue from day one. And it was a very big challenge. So I ask you, like, is there something in your life right now where you thought it was going to turn out one way or another, and it didn't actually go that way? And when I think about that, and the point getting back to the skiing is that the speed, uh, the speed to which we actually put the action and the effort to what we're trying to do, it actually matters. If we're making effort once a week, it's not going to work. We need to make consistent effort on a regular enough basis so that we can actually see what's going to work, what's not going to work. And in the process of the effort, the solutions will materialize. The answers will materialize. And then you'll see the results. So I think in the spirit of not losing to no decision, we don't want to lose to no decision and overthink things, talk ourselves out of it, let fear creep in. The amount of time we could be spending on worry and effort, on worry and doubt, and we could be putting our effort towards something that could actually be productive. So in moments of crisis, in moments of, this was a crisis. I had just taken over the business. I had just figured out, how much money I actually had coming in. And again, I was 24, hadn't been equipped to do this before, had a lot of courage, had a dream to be a small business owner, didn't have the skill sets and the tools to actually manage that at the moment. I had to learn on the fly while it was happening, and it was a big challenge for me. So that's a personal story that I learned to overcome. Um, God's economy, like I said, he doesn't want to fund our comfort. He's funding our capabilities. He's trying to stretch and grow us. He's trying to enable us. I look at James 1 where it talks about, consider it pure joy when we face trials of many kinds, because those trials develop our faith, develop our perseverance. So at the end of all of that, that we could be what? Complete and lacking nothing. And that's what God wants to do for us. And that's why I talk about God's economy, because in God's economy, he wants us to be complete and lacking nothing. I'm doing this new thing with you guys and myself, where during this process, I'm also asking myself some of the tough questions, and some questions I have for us is, what part, if you're doing something right now, what part of the vision excites you? And what part scares you? I think it's important to know. I think one of the most powerful things that I've done for myself as I've gotten older, and it was important, was to take inventory on what's true about myself. It was a tough exercise. I had people tell me what was true, and I had to actually discern really if that was manipulation or not. But I think at that moment, it gave me an opportunity to really understand what I'm like and the reason why I'm like that, and what are my strengths and weaknesses, gifts, and what are my challenges. So, in what you're trying to do, if you have a vision for your life, what part of that vision excites you, and what part of that vision scares you? Just document it. It's important to know. Are you fully committed to the vision only if it works in your timeline or a timeline? Or can we be open to God's timing? This is something I'm dealing with at this very second of my business. My current company, Valor Compounding Pharmacy, we're crushing it, going through some different things, going from a central fill compounding pharmacy to a direct-to-patient pharmacy. And there's operational challenges and different challenges that are related to that we're basically in a season of making effort, trying to find out I'm in the same boat as what I'm preaching here. I'm trying to tell you that, trying to figure out what's going to work, what's not going to work, and just trusting in God's timing, and that God will bless our efforts, and that the things that we do are actually going to materialize for our good. Has there been a place where we've been confused about God's promise versus the preferred process? I'm going to read that again. Has there been a place where we've been confused about what we think God's promise is for us versus maybe our preferred process? So we need to make sure that our processes and what we're working on, that they're aligned. You hear this a lot, that they're aligned with God, that they're aligned with what we think he wants us to do. And that we confirm that, and we find that out by simply asking him. We want confirmation that what we're working on is the right thing at the right time in the right way. And we talk about that the way we work matters. If we're going to differentiate ourselves as a brand, we need to think about how we can be different, distinct, and set apart. Not that because we're better than other people, but because that's what we're called to do. We're called to be distinct and different. Are we aligned with God's plan for our life? And we're going to ask him by praying about it and trying to get a word and confirmation by what he allows our efforts to produce. Okay. Um, are there any pressures that are currently revealing whether my faith is real or convenient? This is important because we also talk about how we wait matters to God. I've said this many times. How we wait matters to God. What pressure is currently revealing whether our faith is real or if it's just convenient when we get our way? Do we have clearly written and revisited vision? It's important to have a fresh vision for your life. That's why at the end of every year, I take my family and we talk about what we're going to do, what we're not going to do. We thank God for last year, but we're also submitting our requests for our plans for the next year, which is now this year, to God to see what He's going to do with our list. Um, are we willing to make the necessary sacrifices? You know, that put the effort into the vision. I mean, everything costs something. Everything costs something. What are you willing to do? What is the price you're willing to pay for the outcome you're seeking to get? And if I removed outcomes, would you still be obedient to the calling? This is a very, very tough question because a lot of times there's got to be, even for myself, and we've talked about faith and trust and how they go, in my opinion, hand in hand in a walk with the Lord, that we can have faith, and then by our faith, we learn to trust by what God does with our faith. And that over time, that strengthens our trust, and then our trust can strengthen our faith. So it's a cycle that repeats itself, but it all starts with a choice to do what? To put our hope and faith and trust in a God in heaven who loves us, wants the best for us, and has a hope and a future and a plan for us. And all things work together for good for those who love God and are called according to their purpose. So, as an entrepreneur, I try to align things that I'm doing in my life for business with what I think God is asking me to do. In some past times, it's been, hey, I need to make some expense cuts and make some really tough decisions. And other times, it's like, okay, I feel like I'm led to do this one initiative with a business development thing, but I can't actually tell you why I think that's the right thing to do. Um, so I'll leave you with this, some scripture and a conclusion, okay? Write the vision and make it plain on tablets, that he may run who reads it, for the vision is yet to be appointed time. But at the end, it will speak and it will not lie. So this is Habakkuk 2, verses 3. And it says, write the vision and make it plain on tablets, that he may run who reads it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it will speak and it will not lie. So the point is that have a fresh vision for your life, have a big vision for your life, and submit this plan to the Lord, get his confirmation and blessing, and see what he'll do with it. A conclusion for you is that if God did give you the vision, he is definitely going to provide you the provision, meaning he's going to provide a way. If he's given you something on your heart and mind for you to do, he will provide a way. Thanks again for spending time with me today on the God's Economy podcast. Follow me on all my social platforms listed below and subscribe to my channel.